Hi Nathan, come on in.
Hey Chloe, this has got to be the lock set you wrote me about.
It sure is. So we just bought the house a few months ago, and like diligent homeowners, we wanted to replace the keys and the locks when we moved in, but we ran into some trouble.
Okay.
So number one is that we don't actually have a key for this deadbolt.
Okay.
And so in order to open it, we have to twist this deadbolt and pull it open. The deadbolt down here doesn't work, which is why we have the tape right here.
Yep.
And the doorknob spins.
Okay, all right.
We've gotten some quotes to try to fix it, and everyone told us to replace the whole door, which cost thousands and thousands of dollars. We're just looking to try to replace the lock and keep that antique charm, and save some money too.
Well, we can absolutely do that. There's no reason to swap out the whole door. This is a beautiful exterior full mortise lock set. It's got the perfect patina to it, and surprisingly, just a few hand tools and some knowledge, we can get this thing tightened up.
Awesome.
Let me get some tools and we'll get started.
Great.
We're going to remove this green tape. So we can work our way from the top down. First, I back off the set screw holding in the cylinder. Then I remove the thumb turn. Next, I remove the cylinder itself. After that, I take off the doorknob. And finally, I can remove the lockbox. All right, so as you can see, there are a lot of parts and pieces. So two things I like to do with any project like this is have some bins, lots of screws, lots of little pieces, keep those organized. But also I like to take my phone out and take pictures of things as I work along. So when we open up this lockbox, I'm actually gonna take a picture of it before we touch anything so we know how it goes back together.
That makes sense.
So to dive into it, let's go into the anatomy of what we have. And to do that, I actually need to remove these two set screws so that way I can open up the lockbox. I only need to remove this one. Move this screw. So we take this screw out here, this screw out, and then you open this up and you can see the inside of the lockbox. So this is the time you take the picture.
So cool.
Okay. All right, so now we can go over the anatomy of it. Starting at the top, we have the place where the set screws came in. One of them is retaining this thumb turn cam up top. The other one was keeping the cylinder in place, the one we just backed out. Coming down further, we have the deadbolt, and then we have the strike. This is actually reversible. If you ever change the swing of your door, you can swap this. Down here you have the push buttons that engage and disengage the outside thumb latch. This thing really is incredible. It actually looks really good for 100 years old. If you think about the engineering that went into this and how it stood the test of time and how you can still get parts and pieces for it, it's pretty cool. So to dive into it to find out what's wrong, first thing I'm seeing up top is your thumb turn cam is actually starting to open up a little bit. It's turning into a circle. We want that to be a nice tight square. Pulling it out, I also noticed that there's a tab missing. It should have one on both sides to hold itself in. So this is something we definitely want to swap out if we can get it.
Gotcha.
Going down further, the deadbolt looks fine. We talked about the reversible latch. That's fine. It could definitely stand to get lubricated and greased, but we'll do that later. Your cylinder looks to have a piece of key stuck in it. Not all the way through, but there's definitely some buildup inside there. And what's nice is we could swap this out and have it keyed the same as your deadbolt up top, so you only have one key.
That would make my life way easier.
So we'll swap that out too. And the last thing I saw when I was pulling it off, because it wasn't there, is there's no set screw in your knob. So luckily I have a set screw with me that can repair that. These can be a little bit trickier, but I know a great local place that I can go to check in with him and see if he has them. We need the new thumb turn cam, which is tough, but he should have it. I'm gonna go see if he has everything. I'll be right back.
Great. Nathan, welcome back. I hope you have some good news for me.
I do. Here's that set screw that I already had. And also here is the thumb turn cam. This is the new one. And this does not have the tabs on the back. They don't make it that way anymore.
Is that going to be a problem?
Not too bad. So we're going to press fit that. We're going to tighten up the set screw. And then also I'm going to do a couple dabs of adhesive on the back, and that's going to lock it into place. And also down the road, if someone did need to swap it out, they could take it out. And here is your new cylinder keyed like your deadbolt.
Awesome.
Nice. So first repair, obviously set this into place while we have it on the table. So I'm just going to press that right in, and then I will tighten up this set screw to lock it into place. And the last thing I want to do before we close this back up is give everything some lubrication. And they recommend white lithium grease. So any moving parts, anything that cause friction, any springs, we just want to hit that with some grease. Then we'll close this up, turn it over, and we'll do the glue on the back to really lock this in.
Awesome.
Oh, you want to grab that grease?
Sure.
All right, so this stuff can go all over. So we're going to use the little nozzle in there. So this hasn't seen any grease in about 100 years, so we want to be pretty liberal with this. You can see here that there's going to be some friction near the slide, so I'll put a little bit there. Over here where the toggles are, I'm going to put a little bit where that comes back and forth. Here on the spring, we'll add a little bit there. We'll rub that right in. On the deadbolt, we have the spring here that is going to slide back and forth, so we'll put a little bit there. And then there's actually a lot of moving parts right inside here, so we'll add some there. And then I'm going to put this cover back on, because if I flip this over right now, all these little parts and pieces are going to want to fall out. So we want to keep those in place. After I flip it over, I'll put the glue on the back. The new cylinder and the set screw can get fixed over at the door. Okay. Good fit. So I'm just going to do 2 dabs. One there, one there. We'll let those dry before we install it. All right, so the final touch up before we reinstall the lock set is this hole right here. You can see that it's kind of hogged out over here and it's not really receiving the screws well. They came out, they practically fell out when I was pulling it apart. So I'm going to use a little bit of wood filler. We're going to repair it, pre-drill for the screws, and once that's dry, then we'll reassemble everything. All right, so we have that filled in. We have the lock box in. It's not screwed in yet. I want it to move around a little bit because where I like to start is actually by threading in the cylinder, and this has really fine threads on it, and sometimes you need a little bit of play to get that lined up. All right, but you want to go nice and slow and thread it in by hand. What we do is we tighten that all the way up. And then there's a little notch in this like there was on the other side. So we are going to tighten up this set screw, and it's going to fill that void and keep this from spinning after we have it lined up just right. Okay, that's nice and tight. Let's come to the back side and we'll put the thumb turn in. So we'll set this into that hole. All right, let's try the key.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Thank you so much, Nathan. I'm so excited to have a usable front door.
You're welcome.
It's awesome that we've been able to keep the charm to all of the pieces.
And a whole lot safer too.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks for watching. This Old House has got a video for just about every home improvement project, so be sure to check out the others. And if you like what you see, click on the subscribe button to make sure that you get our newest videos right in your feed.